It's time for Upon Further Review.
Well, 2 more shark attacks in North Carolina this week. That brings your total number of 7 in that area, just in that area along the Carolina coast in 3 weeks, and 11 total for the entire year. Now, the most recent yesterday saw a man in his late 60s. He was swimming near the Outer Banks where this should never happen. He was bitten pretty good, ripped apart a little bit here, lifted by air to a hospital. Now, the reason for so many of these attacks, well, everyone's got a theory, but National Geographic says it's partly because of global warming. You cannot make this stuff up. And, of course, yesterday I interviewed a shark expert on Varney who said, hey, this is no big deal. Go ahead. Keep swimming. A lot of people are really unnerved here. We've seen these images on television, and it feels like maybe it's just time to stay away from the beaches for right now.
Well, I don't think that's the case. Thanks for having me. When you look down at what's going on in the Carolinas right now, what you have is the peak of abundance, right? So from the scientist standpoint, you have the maximum amount of bait in that area this time of year. There's summer's the peak. And then that brings in the game fish and the predators.
Yeah, it's a peak of abundance, but for the war on species, okay? Hillary, are you afraid you're going to take your kids out to the beach this weekend?
I sure am. I want everyone inside, especially Sunday, to watch the World
It's a peak of abundance.
To watch the World Cup. The women need to win. America is going to win. But
so then after that, you go to the beach.
How do we get from the soccer?
I think the beach is dangerous. There's also, all sorts of things that come
The
out
odds of getting attacked by a shark, 1 in 11.5 million. You have a better odds of getting killed by bees. So that means we can't go outside and play in the grass. Get out there and swim.
It is concerning because it seems like we're hearing a lot more about it. Every day there's another shark attack. And it is concerning. My children, it kind of reminds me of the movie Jaws, right, that we all grew up watching. But my kids are taking sailing lessons today, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, are they okay? And here they're in the bay. But you get nervous.
And those
as
bees,
a mom,
too,
you get nervous.
Listen, we're just 3 shark attacks shy of having a shark czar being appointed by President Obama, okay? Well, don't be afraid of sharks.
Don't knock it. That's a job.
That's a job, exactly. You know what? They're just hungry. For the love of God, they know that Shark Week starts next week.
Scotty,
they're
that's
just
the
hungry.
problem because they say they don't like humans. So I think they're just beating us up because they know what? Someone said there was one shark who's really angry because it got 1 degree warmer out there and it's taking it out on us. All right, now this is a greater threat perhaps, right? Because the 4th of July, we're being told this might be the terror weekend, right? And of course, we're seeing a lot of these things. We've seen simultaneous attacks around the world. The feds are saying they're doing all they can to beef up security ahead of the holiday. So Shaw, what do you make of this? Because again, before terror, the point of terror is for us to change our lives. And we don't want to give them that satisfaction. But I think everyone's a little bit more unnerved right now.
I think everyone is. And I don't know if it's justifiable. The Department of Homeland Security said there is no specific credible threat out there. So this is just something we amp up around the holidays anyway in terms of the rhetoric and be careful, et cetera, et cetera.
But the
I don't think
backdrop
America
makes
is going
it
to change
easier
anything.
to ramp up these days.
It does, but I don't think it's going to change any Americans' habits, and nor should it.
Oh, I think it's the problem. I feel like we're coming to some kind of crescendo here and that something is brewing. I just think there's been too many cells operating.
This is the last thing they would want to do to America right now, Hillary. The key is they know if they attack us at home, we'll do what we did after 9/11. We will unite. Right now, we're doing a pretty good job destroying ourselves. So if they stay away, at least for the time being.
They don't think that way.
Well,
I will say, though, from an economic point of view, though, and we always hear that Mall of America, for instance, is a big target. From an economic point of view, it would put a heck of a damper on our economy and the stock market and everything else.
Especially if it happens somewhere in the middle of America like that. Maybe it says, New York's a target, D.C. Middle of America, then nobody's going to malls anymore. That would be a killer for this economy.
But you don't need to be afraid on July 4th. You need to be afraid every day. That's the key. There's just as much of a threat every single day besides just the
everybody but Shaw.
He's a bear.
I'm not afraid. I think eventually we're going to clean this situation up, and the world is going to take this threat, this jihadist, this Islamic threat, and do something with it. Because the moderates in the Islamic and the Muslim faith have to do something. They have to stand up for their religion, and they have to be spoken. They have to speak out, and we have to unite against this terrorism, and we will defeat it.
But can they defeat it without our help? I mean, that's the bottom line. We see where Saudi Arabia has sponsored the bombing in Yemen. I think at best maybe they've come to some sort of a neutral draw. Sunni Shia, it's right along sectarian lines. But can anything honestly be done without America really putting their foot down, maybe picking a side this time, the right side, and getting this done?
I think it has to happen from within the religion itself. I think that's the only way really to address it.
But why aren't they doing that now? Why aren't those moderates stepping up and doing that now?
I don't know. That's a big problem.
Extremism, by its very definition, is very difficult to fight, and that's why we have to be there and fighting.
A new poll out says that 42 million Muslims around the world are sympathetic to ISIS. And Scotty, maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't be too cocky that they would not want to strike here. We've foiled a lot of strikes this year already.
The other thing is it's Iranian nuclear deal, the deadline. Right. They're not going to do anything until whether or not we sign the deal or not.
Well, we're going to sign something.